We begin in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where US President Donald Trump has addressed thousands of supporters at an indoor arena, despite concerns it could become a super spreader event for the coronavirus. As it turns out, attendees who wanted to social distance were able to do so. Contrary to predictions, the 19,000-seat venue would be sold out. There were plenty of empty seats, and plans for the president to speak at an outdoor overflow area were cancelled.
Low in numbers but high in enthusiasm, Trump supporters ignored growing COVID-19 concerns to rally for him in Tulsa.
I think we've been told so many different things about COVID-19 that I think everybody's just kind of tired of it, really.
We didn't do all this uproar for all the other pandemics, you know what I'm saying? So I just don't see why I would act any different for this.
Trump defended his administration's handling of the pandemic, even as cases across the United States rise.
I saved hundreds of thousands of lives. We don't ever get even a mention.
He said higher infection rates come with more testing.
When you do testing to that extent, you're going to find more people, you're going to find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
He blamed media coverage of COVID and the threat of alleged violence from social justice protesters for low supporter turnout there.
No justice, no peace.
He chose to ignore protesters' pleas for racial equality and an end to police brutality. Instead, he focused on branding himself as the law and order president.
We are the party of Abraham Lincoln, and we are the party of law and order.
It's an old catchphrase that echoes from the time of Nixon. As the country appears to be moving toward a new era in equality, Trump holds on to the same campaign formula: culture wars and division in the hopes of mobilizing his base.
All right, time to bring in DW correspondent Stefan Simons, who's on the streets of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Stefan, Mr. Trump's aides were said to have wanted a rally to re-energise the president as his re-election campaign gets moving in the shadow of some very bleak polling numbers. Did his campaign get what it needed today?
No, I don't think so. I think that was a false start for the president. And I don't know if he's getting energized by this, but the numbers didn't show, the numbers didn't add up here. The Trump campaign, as you said, had said and expected 19,000 people in the arena and about the same, if not more, outside. And they had to cancel their outside the arena engagements because nobody showed up. Literally nobody showed up. So I don't know if that was a strong start into a new campaign or strong new start in a new campaign. I don't think so.
Stefan, Mr. Trump has been famously fixated on crowd numbers from day one of his presidency. Did he make any reference to the crowd or lack of them in his speech?
I'm sorry. Of course he did. He blamed protesters, anti-Trump protesters, Black Lives Matter, and the media, us, for the lack of supporters showing up to his rally. And of course this is a spin because, of course, we didn't disencourage or discourage anybody. Trump convinced Trump supporters they don't probably even watch our program because that's not their taste. They're going to conservative and even further on the right spectrum media outlets. So that the media, mainstream media, is discouraging Trump supporters to show up at a rally, that's just bogus. And protesters, no, they didn't do it either. Their protests here were largely peaceful, and there were no protesters showing up all day. So Trump supporters had a free way and a free path towards the campaign rally.
Yeah, if we could just dive in a little further on that point that you raise about protesters. In the lead-up, there seemed to be really legitimate concerns about Trump supporters coming face-to-face with Black Lives Matter protesters. Did any of that trouble materialise?
It did a little bit, and that explains the cough you just heard here in the other answer I tried to give. There's a little bit of pepper spray still here in the air. We had a little bit of an incident here a few I would say like about 45 minutes ago, where police tried to get through this street here. And I step aside for a second. You see on the other side the remnants of Trump supporters, and where I stand here, the remnants of Black Lives Matter supporters and protesters. So they didn't get at each other, but the police thought it was necessary to, clear the way or spray a little bit with pepper spray. That's the cough. However, the entire day, peaceful. And I have to say, we witnessed the protesters, the anti-Trump protesters and Black Lives Matter activists here. And I have to say, I'm impressed what they did. They had handlers and minders ready who directed the crowd, who whenever something got emotional, and there were some face-offs between Trump supporters and anti-Trump protesters, whenever this got emotional or too tense, they stepped in and said, hey, peaceful. Don't give anybody a reason. Use your brain, not your emotions. Move on. Protesters did move on. They're now in Greenwood, away from downtown, away from the Trump rally, and from any leftover Trump supporters.
On the streets of Tulsa, Oklahoma, Stefan Simons, thanks so much.